no lie. Resonating, vibes ain't feeling good. Everything but vibrating. I am at peace. I am at peace.
He's John Ryan.
He is the Jonathan Prince.
Together
Yes,
we
mate.
are
We are brutally Johnest.
Brutally Johnest. Big up. How you doing, mate?
I am very, very unshaven.
You are
Because
very
remember, I had a
unshaven.
beard, right? I had a beard and then I got fed up with it. Because that's what white men do when we're locked up. We just grow beards and walk around in our pants. So I shaved it. I remembered then why I grew the beard in the first place, because I hate shaving. But you and your baby face, I imagine you probably don't have to shave. You just rub a little bit of emery cloth on it maybe once a year, a bit of oil.
I shave a couple of times a week. I could probably get away with once, but
Do not!
I do.
With those boyish, infantile looks of yours, you could never go to prison with that pretty face.
Well, thank you very much. I'll take that as a compliment, mate. I love that.
Whenever you get, that should be your defence. If you're in court, what do you say to these accusations, Mr. Prince? You go, look at my face. I'm too pretty to go to prison, Judge. Your Honour.
Your honour
Like
and ting.
Your Honour. Yeah.
No, I'm not planning on being in court, but no, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment, mate.
Just get away with it. Get away with it. Look at that. Smooth. Look like an advertisement for
No,
Smooth.
for real, man. Started a new job today. That's why I got the light shirt on and
Brilliant.
everything. Feeling
That's
good.
why you're dressed up all smart.
And shaved. Well, it's not freshly
Is
shaved.
that what fast food delivery service shirt is that? Is that like delivery shirt or what is that?
Yeah. I'm on
Yeah, my
delivery.
new workmates might be watching this, so don't do that,
Do you know what? Yeah, if I had a job with delivery, that'd help me out right now because, as you can see, there's a bit too much like weight being carried at the moment, mate. So I need
It's
to.
too clean, that t-shirt. That has never been worn before, that t-shirt. That t-shirt is normally as clean as your clean face.
Do you want to know what this t-shirt? Why it's so clean, right? Before my missus moved in, I used to think you knew how to use a washing machine, but now I'm not allowed near the washing machine because I used to put this in with I don't know. If it was a light coloured t-shirt, do you know what I mean? Like yellow or whatever, a light coloured t-shirt. But apparently white should only go in with whites.
Yeah, well, you know what that is? Ku Klux Klan, mate. It's like living with a South African. We put the whites in first and the colours can go in later. It's wrong, mate.
There's like 4 different washes, mate. I just only knew 2. It was like, I thought I knew how to use a washing machine, man. I've been all right for years. And then my missus moved in and now I'm not allowed to use a washing machine.
Now you're clean.
And my t-shirts are white again.
You know that? I know. I've got the same problem, mate, with her. She will let me put anything I want in her. I can't put nothing in her washing machine. Shocking. It's wrong, mate. Yeah, all right. Already I've upset how many groups of people. Put your comments in the comments box, man. Let's just get over it. What's your tune? Play your tune. Play it.
Mate, my tune for I just wanted to pick an artist by this particular guy, a track by this particular guy. His name is Badda General, Badda General, right? And yeah, this is the tune.
DJ, at the barrel me up. Yeah. Credit a shape, me now have long for chat. Alright. Just tell me what you want, as a matter of fact. Wait, let me just tell you what I got so far. Couple bag of jasmine rice for buy.
Right, so I've got to talk about what this is about. The track's called Barrel, right? When I was a kid, I remember.
Oh, was that the track?
The track. That weren't me.
I thought there was someone in the next room ordering like a pizza or something. Oh, well, pineapple, bun top, and onion and lettuce. That was music you just playing, was it? Okay,
That was actually, you could actually get as deep as him. That's why I just think he's got a wicked voice, mate. But the track's called Barrel, and back in the day, I don't know if it still happens, but people used to send a barrel, so it was like a big blue barrel with like a metal ring around the top with a top on. You know what I mean? It was clipped, and they'd send that from like England to the Caribbean. And I remember the conversations where my parents would be talking on the phone, asking what the other person wanted to be put in the barrel. And this track is basically about that. So like, anything, shampoo, soap, sanitizer, whatever, just to help people out in the Caribbean that we know, family and that, you'd send a barrel of stuff back.
And then could they make a steel drum out of it when they were finished with it?
It would be a plastic barrel, but a plastic drum maybe, yeah.
Plastic drum. Very resourceful. Make a hat. If someone had a really big head, they could make a really big hat for someone with a really big head.
Could make a raft. Getting all Blue Peter on.
Why do you always think about escaping? What's your issues about needing to escape all the time? I'll be practical. Have a nice hat. Oh, look at our sunset there, nice barrel from the UK. But no, not you. Make a raft.
You could make a raft. I don't know. Just come through.
So that reminds you of that. Well, okay. My tune. Oh yeah, look. Words.
So what's the track?
Jump Around.
By
House of Pain. The House of Pain. Jump Around. And why is that then? Because we had St. Patrick's Day every day for the last week.
okay.
In my house, the last 7 days.
I don't know the connection between that tune and St. Patrick's Day.
House of Pain, Irish.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
Great.
know that.
Boston, they're a Boston hip hop group. Very bigly. Look, I'm even using
Bigly.
hip hop terms. Bigly. They're very bigly influenced by their Irish culture from their great granddad. So St. Patrick's Day, every year when I was a kid, go to school with a big lump of cabbage on your lapel, and have to fight all the other kids who didn't have the cabbage on their lapel. It was so that we would realise who the other Irish Catholic kids were, so we could breed with them when we got older. And then as we got older, obviously the community dissipated. But St. Patrick's Day, we all come together and have a hoolie. And the word hooligan comes from the Houlihan family, who were notorious troublemakers, Victorian troublemakers from Irish backgrounds. There you go. So a bottle of whiskey's been drunk in a week.
I'm just going to put it out there, man. I didn't know. Many people, I reckon, think that St. Patrick's Day is just a day that we celebrate. It's an Irish day that we celebrate to drink, like so you can drink. That's all people know about it. What is the history? Can you give me some more history?
Well, it's interesting you should know that. Let me take you on a journey. So Patrick was a Welsh guy who was taken in the night by slave traders from another country who didn't speak his language. Took him in a ship in chains, took him to another country where he worked as a slave. Sounds like a familiar story, this one.
It does sound like a familiar story.
He's taken from Wales to Ireland, and then went to France, studied to become a priest. God spoke to him and said, go and be a priest. So, when God tells you to do something, generally speaking, God do it. Went back to Ireland with a load of his mates, tried to bring Christianity, but the Irish weren't having it. But then he found a little shamrock and explained it. Because they'd be like, there's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And how do you have three people in one person? What's that all about? He took the shamrock and he explained how there are three parts to the one entity. And then, behold, Ireland became a Catholic nation. So every year, all around the world, March 17th was his birthday. And then all around the world, people just have an excuse to party, basically.
Do only Irish Catholics celebrate it, or would Irish Protestants celebrate as well?
Because they're Irish, and this is what people don't really understand about Ireland, is that they're all Irish. Obviously, people in the north, technically speaking, it's part of Great Britain, but they are belonging to the island of Ireland.
So everyone will celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, the loyalists don't
bring in Catholicism or not.
Yeah, they can do. Well, they brought Christianity, and then,
right.
In the north, of course, they like to see themselves as British, and they will fight for their right to be British. Unfortunately, the British government doesn't agree with them, and that's why that whole hard Brexit thing was such a problem, because people in Northern Ireland who fought loyal to the Crown, loved the Queen, loved to be called British, and then the EU thing with Brexit, we sold them down the river. Because what then happens is the Republic of Ireland is still in the EU, Northern Ireland isn't, so technically speaking, there should be a hard border.
Right, yeah.
Loyalists want, because we're part of Britain. But the Good Friday Peace Agreement, one of the conditions of it was that there would never be a hard border. So
you just explained like the whole of you've explained so much there, better than all of the news has done.
So I got my glass and look clever.
Succinctly smashed it, mate.
Booyaka! Next week we're going to do Israel and Palestine. But yeah, so St. Patrick's Day, and where we differ is the Irish people in the Irish Republic, they're pure Irish, right? And they don't think anyone else has a right to call themselves Irish, not realising that the Irish in Britain and America and Canada, we only define ourselves as Irish to separate us from being seen as British and having shared experiences, which kind of helps a little bit with the old white guilt and white privilege. Because when you go, you're white privilege, you go, but I'm Irish. So St. Patrick's Day is our opportunity to say to our friends of colour, I can't be racist, I'm Irish. So it's like a little clause, like asterisks, certain terms and conditions apply. Well, of course, most of the Ireland is an extremely racist country. So if you actually knew about Ireland, you wouldn't think They're this diddly, fiddly fee kind of people. No, I've upset the Irish as well as people with big heads, people in the Caribbean.
Anyone else you want to upset before we move on?
No, plenty of time, mate.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure I'll find more people.
Talking of upsetting people, I'll be honest. Everyone has different opinions, yeah, and I think that's what makes society rich. I know that's
Why
a
does
bit
that
of a
make society
segue,
rich?
because if everyone had the same opinions, then you'd just be a reflection of yourself. Much like the algorithms on your phone, you'd always see things that please you, but you wouldn't stretch yourself. You wouldn't stretch your knowledge or question yourself, or you just see it the way that you see it. And with however many billion people on the planet, no one person can be right.
Yeah, but don't you have to have common ground with people? Don't you have to have consensus for things to run?
Indeed, but without accepting, when you say common ground there, how do you know what someone else's ground is until you accept to hear it? And if it isn't different, if it's different to yours, and you say, well, that's different to mine, I'm not going to hear it, you might not know whether it's going to help you grow or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we all live in this country on the understanding that there are laws that is based on a Judeo-Christian teachings, that we have institutions, we have democracy, we have women's rights, equal rights. So if people don't agree with all that, what are you meant to do?
That's true. It's funny how you brought it to that for an agreement or not. So, for example, like I'll just put it on a much more flimsy example. The other day I was walking down the street and I saw someone, they were eating something and they just took the tissues that they had or the paper that they had and just threw it on the floor and kind of looked at me and carried on walking. And that really bothered me. Like in my soul, it bothered me because I thought in 2021, dropping litter on the floor, it just felt really Neanderthal. Do you know what I mean? It felt really like, it just felt super stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm
string them up
out there. Just felt stupid this time. I'm not going there.
You know me and my hanging. Hang them. Put them on a list, Jonathan.
But do you know what I mean? There's so many bins about, like, we know about litter's not good and who's going to pick it up, and like denying your own responsibility for your own stuff bothered me. But one in the same, for them to do it, like, and have a different opinion and do it, that's their right, isn't it?
But it's not. It is. I guess it is. Could be their right, but their rights only exist so long as they don't infringe yours. If you go to Singapore, do that shit, they will beat you.
For real, I can imagine. I can imagine.
And that small little gesture of throwing, when you throw, them people that are throwing the tissues on the floor, that's just the gateway to other things. That's what respect comes from. That's what respect is all about.
Okay, let me bring it to what I'm trying to say. So Wilfried Zaha, we've spoken to him for a few weeks. For those who don't know, he is a very good football player. Plays for Crystal Palace, and he happens to be a black man. And he felt as such, and I'm going to quote now rather than just talk my own stuff, basically that there is no right or wrong decision, but he feels that kneeling before a game to support Black Lives Matter, he feels that kneeling before a game has become part of the pre-match routine, and whether we kneel or stand, some of us continue to receive abuse. Right? I completely feel that. Now, there is another football player who happens to be black as well, and his name is Mings.
Is that African? Is that an African name? Dula.
That one is.
Hey, Tunde Baba Tunde.
And he said that he doesn't agree. He thinks it's good for him to have his opinion, but he thinks it's an opportunity wasted to kind of show people about anti-racism. However, he feels that Zaha's decision must be respected. That's exactly what I'm talking about, because that whole thing creates a dialogue that otherwise wouldn't be there if either one of them decided not to express their opinions. Both of them play football. One of them decides that it's good for him to kneel because it's going to be continuing to support an anti-racist agenda, right? Whereas the other one feels like, well, I'm kneeling and I'm getting racism anyway. And they can both exist and be happy that with each other's decision. Do you understand?
I guess, yeah, it must be confusing for proper racists though, because now it turns out that not only do black people not all look the same, but they've got different opinions as well. What's going on? It's just so hard. It's not like the old days. Hey, all look the same, think the same. All support each other, don't they? It's all about. But look, this Black Lives Matter thing, right? When people stop taking the knee, it will disappear. But that's why it's been a fantastic movement, I think. Because we now got black women on Match of the Day. We never would have had Michael Richards, who is one of the most entertaining human beings. The man, I would just do a car journey with him. You wouldn't have got so much profile with him. We'd have been stuck with Jermaine Jenas, who, if you turn the contrast up right on your telly, could pass as a Greek, right? So So at least Black Lives Matter has put this firmly on the agenda. Now you've got people on like loose women. You got I think it's raised profile.
It has, and I feel it's. I wouldn't say opportunities are necessarily equal as yet, but from what I can see, there seems to have been at least some normalisation of seeing black people on television within the last 6 months, even, which is great.
And what happened 6 months ago? The whole Black Lives Matter thing. So when people go, "Oh, why have you got to protest to be angry?" Well, being angry and protesting gets shit done. If you just spent the previous time, like the previous 30 years, if they'd done a bit more of that, if we'd all done a bit more of that, then maybe we'd have moved on a bit quicker.
Talking of which, conspiracy of the week for me. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, right?
Just some proper conspiracy music.
Some people would say that when something big is going on in the news, keep an eye out for what else is going on, because often, much like a magician, it's like misdirection, right? So they're showing you this thing and you're going, oh, that thing's going on, but you don't see the other thing. And I just wanted to put it out there that around the time that the Meghan and, because when we spoke before last, it was before the Meghan and Harry interview had come out from Oprah and Ting. That's her full name, Oprah and Ting. And Ting, yeah. When we spoke, they hadn't done that, but now everybody's seen it, or people have seen it. It's been shown in England, in America, and so on. And there's a few things that you could discuss about it, but ultimately misdirection to a point, in that there is some shady goings on in the royal family with regards to Prince Andrew, and there's some shady goings on in government and I'm not getting too political now, but with regards to
Red Johnny.
Well, look at the protest thing. They tried to put across a law, or I don't know how. I don't even know whether it was put across, but on Monday, or maybe it's today, they were trying to put a law across which basically stopped the public having the power to protest, and not just because of COVID and being safe because of COVID. I mean, this would go on post-COVID, to give people less rights to protest about things, so that the police can just come in heavy-handedly and shut it down. And I'm not feeling that.
No, but mate, you've really got through a lot of things here. That was like listening to a 7-year-old child who's telling me all about her day at school. Well, this morning we had milk, and then we did PE, and then we did some art, and then Johnny played with me in the playground, and then we went back in and did some maths, and then some history, and then for lunch I had a sandwich. The Harry and Meghan thing, fair play to them people. They wanted privacy, so they've moved to America. They wanted safety, so they've moved to a country where gun crime is out of control.
Privacy didn't Oprah him for an interview.
Yeah. And then, what really made me laugh, the man's going, they won't give me no security, and all I've got to live on is my mum's millions. Here, like, there's my house. That's where I live there. Google it. Google map it. You'll find it. I've got no security, and all the money's under the bed. Come on, Harry. Get a bit of sense. Get a bit of sense, mate. Shocking.
Yeah, for real. For real. There was some shocking things come out there. But I don't know, man. I'm just going to be controversial with it, yeah? Now, I'm not talking about the situation that happened with Harry and Meg there. But I call them...
You like your first name to them. No, H&M. Harry and Meg.
H&M.
Ginger and Winch. Come on. This bill that they've passed through government, or they're trying to pass through government, it's not to end all protests. It's just to make it so that you can protest, but like only 3 of you on a Wednesday in slippers. You can't make noise. It's that kind of nonsense.
That's what I'm saying.
And the right to protest is integral historically for people to improve their rights. And historically, they've always tried to stop people protesting. And this country has a long history and a long tradition of when the people don't like it, they go out and smash shit up. And it's not just something that was invented in 1981 in Brixton when the black people got angry, or Toxteth. Hundreds of years ago, working class people, when they'd had enough, would go out on the street to protest and get slaughtered or sent to America or Australia. So last week we had the anniversary of people called the Toll Puddle Martyrs, who were sent to Australia, and because they tried to organise collectively. And they got sent to Australia. When they got to freedom, they only found out like 10 years later, because one of them found an old newspaper. Like, this is when we talk about history, and we're going about, people talk about, quite rightly, we should know more about the empire and stuff. Yeah, we should, and we should know what they were doing to the English people at that time as well.
For real. And that's another reason, I think I've said it before, man, but I don't think we should hide history. History, by definition, will be told by the victors, or told by someone who wants to show themselves in a good light and hide the bad stuff that they've done. And I think with regards to some of the statues that we've seen, and people claiming that people have done things that wouldn't be considered reputable nowadays, and they had a statue built for, let's say, their role in slavery, for example, we need to know those things to see how far we've come and to see what direction we want to take. What is it? If you don't know your history, if you don't know your history, then it will repeat itself in the future, something like that.
Yeah, but it's all well and good taking the statues, but what about all the buildings? Every building in the country is built on blood from slavery. Every country, the railway network built on it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. So what do you do?
Canary
Tear down
Wharf.
train stations, tear down trains. Everything, mate. So it's like all this stuff coming out about Winston Churchill was a bad man. What a surprise. Who would have known that? Well, actually, anyone who took the time to read, this is a man who sent soldiers in when the people in Wales was on strike because they had no food. So before you even talk about what he did to the Kurds and the Indians, hey, these people, they've been doing it for years, but there's no getting away from the fact that those acts gave us the country we have today. And it's almost like finding out that your dad was a guinea fiddler. Well, he's still your dad, mate. You just can't do nothing about it. And I think that's happy. So we talk about the statues that were slave owners. Yeah, they were. They were awful human beings. But this society benefited from that and still does today. And that's the harsh reality that people have to face up to and go, we can't rewrite history. We can only go, how can we make sure it's never repeated and that the people who suffered don't suffer continuously.
Again, you're smashing it, mate. Succinct, poised. You know what I mean?
So I could be practicing.
We don't know no lie. Resonate